Bet you can't guess what side I'm on. Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Batman vs. Superman! The film's directed by Zack Snyder and stars Ben Affleck as Batman and Henry Cavill as Superman. Plus Gal Gadot, who's playing the very first on-screen version of Wonder Woman. So I'm doing this video in parts. The first part I'm doing completely spoiler-free, 0 spoilers. The second part I will put up a big spoiler alert sign, and that's where we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this movie. So if you guys don't know already, this movie takes place after the events of Man of Steel. Bruce Wayne was in Metropolis when Zod was fighting Superman and all that chaos was happening. This is the story of how Bruce wants to get revenge of all the events that happened. He wants to take down Superman, who most people see as either a god or a massive threat. Lex Luthor puts the two against each other, hence Batman vs. Superman. So I thought this movie was really, really good. And I know critics may not think it's the best, but they're critics and they don't have the final say on what you should think about this movie. So the good stuff, everything Batman. Everything Batman. The Batcave, the Batmobile, how he fights. Batman. This guy made this movie. I may be a little bit biased, but Batman! So now, aside from the main reason why I saw this film, I also really liked how Superman's connection with the world and how people were very conflicted on whether he was a god or whether he was right or wrong for the world, all the big damage that he caused because of Man of Steel. All of that was really nice and how they meshed it all together and made the world really care about Superman and how the impact of aliens and is it good, is it bad, and how Batman's ideology clashes with that of Superman's. Another thing that I loved about this movie was how risky it was. It was definitely not the cookie cutter Marvel thing that we've seen for the past 10 years. And it was the first time we get to see the holy trinity of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman together on the screen for the very first time. This is big, big. It took a big, big risk. Huge. It's gonna be huge. Please don't vote for Trump. Now on to the bad. This movie was very scattered. There were tons of things happening that all didn't quite fit together. Sometimes they would be doing a scene of Lex Luthor talking to someone and then all of a sudden it would cut and go to Superman talking to Batman or Superman talking to Lois Lane. It was just very strangely structured. The ideas were definitely there. They were there for sure. Give them kudos for that. But there was just something with the editors, or I don't know what they were doing, but if I would have to change anything about this movie, I would definitely have to scale it down a lot. Batman vs. Superman was a big enough fight. We didn't need to add Doomsday and all these other trying to set up the Justice League. That was just too big. I liked where they were going with a lot of the aspects of this movie, but it was just too big to put into a Batman vs. Superman fight. Overall, I have to give this movie a B+. I love this movie. B for Batman, for sure. Batman, Batman, Batman. Batman. No, but seriously, this film took risks. It tried to set up a massive world. Was it trying to do it too quickly? Maybe. But I definitely liked a lot of the action sequences. It definitely took those risks that a lot of the movies now, superheroes especially, are not taking. They're Civil War, they're fighting in an airport in a giant open space. They took down cities in this movie. Whole cities. Big cities. Down to the ground. Down. Make sure you check this movie out, no matter what. Have fun with it. Make sure that you form your own opinion, that you make sure that you understand how everything is going to be cohesive. It may not make sense if you're a nerd like me, but if you just are a casual fan, this is actually a really fun movie. And now, let's talk dirt. I think that you get that I love Batman. I love Batman. But my unbiased opinion is that I absolutely love this movie. I like the fights, I love the graphics, just how much carnage came between all of these people fighting left and right. It was brilliant. Another addition that I really liked about this movie was the Martha storyline, that both Martha Wayne and Martha Kent have the same name. I never really thought about this before, but I really like that that's what stopped Batman from beating the crap out of Superman and stopped him from killing him. Just hearing his mother's name, the one thing his father said before he died, that was pretty impactful. Like, I never thought that something so small and simple could stop Batman from anything, but it stopped him in his tracks from killing Superman. It's really what turned the tides in this movie and caused them to work together. So if since you've seen this movie, you know that Superman dies. Who cares? That was terrible. I'm just glad that that happened. I'm glad that Superman died. I know he's going to come back because we saw the soil rise up, but that Band-Aid's ripped off. It was going to happen whether it happened now, 5 movies from now. They were going to cover it. Do you really want to stand alone Superman and then it end how he dies? That's kind of boring. And I'm glad it's over because I felt like it would have distracted from a lot of what the Justice League would have been. Because now Batman has to find each member of the Justice League, minus Wonder Woman because we already met her. But now he has to find Barry Allen, he has to find Cyborg, he has to find Aquaman. He has to bring these people together and convince them that they need to work together. And doing that without Superman is a good thing, because if we consider that Superman is this godlike character who has laser eyes, who can fly, who can lift anything, that he's just too overpowered. They need to figure out a way to beat a villain and come together to do this instead of just relying, oh, Superman's got it, it's fine. But for you Superman fans, it definitely was a very good show. He got pretty pissed at Batman. He was kind of a Lex Luthor puppet for a minute, but he still kind of went back to the side of good, as he always does. He took on Doomsday. The guy picked up a kryptonite spear and tried to fly with it. If that's not brave, I don't know what is. And by the way, since Batman gets to bring all these metahumans. They call them metahumans. Since he has to bring them all together, he's going to do, I'm hoping that they bring this. Please bring this. They hope they do the Justice League Doom storyline, where Batman has contingency plans in order to beat every member of the Justice League just in case they go bad. That means all kinds of dirty Batman things can happen. Alright, back to the bad stuff. Stuff I did not like about this movie. Again, too much jumping around. You can't go from half the movie being about Superman's influence, him going to court, all the things that had occurred in Man of Steel. If you're going to make that, make a separate Man of Steel movie. Don't make a Batman vs. Superman movie and then add that Man of Steel influence. I like how they incorporated Bruce Wayne's interaction with Superman being in Metropolis and him having to deal with the destruction of his company and some guy named Jack in the building that he cared about. Not sure who that guy was. Anyway, I like that a lot. They definitely jumped around too much, though. First half was all about Superman, how his impact was God versus good thing versus bad thing. And then all of a sudden they go into a Doomsday plot line where it matters. Lex Luthor is trying to take over the world or destroy it. And I just didn't understand how they went from A to B so quickly. It definitely was not a straight line. Speaking of Doomsday, he should not have been in this movie. I didn't like it. I liked the whole concept of Doomsday and how they had to fight him. Again, I don't think it belonged in this movie. This was purely a Batman versus Superman, and it should not have been included. Not even in the trailer that we saw. That was just overkill. He definitely looked too Frankensteinish. I didn't like how he was like this bald guy. I liked how when they beat him, every time he would like explode and stuff. That was kind of cool. And then he would like grow these spikes. I understand that that's part of the comics, and like he would regenerate and he would grow uglier. I definitely like that, but he looked a lot like a Frankenstein monster, especially if you saw Victor Frankenstein. Also, somebody needs to tell Zack Snyder to stop making the same themes in the same movies. Watchmen and Batman vs. Superman are so similar, with Superman being so similar to Dr. Manhattan, and even scenes looked identical to each other. I felt like there were portions where I was watching The Watchmen. Also, the nuclear thing, that was too much. I didn't like how Superman takes Doomsday up into the sky, President launches a nuke. That just doesn't make sense. They're up in space. Why would you shoot a nuke up in space all of a sudden? Didn't like it. Let's get into the topic of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. You may not have liked him, critics may not have liked him, but I liked it. I liked that he was off the wall crazy. This guy was ready to throw down and get rid of Superman in any way possible. Again, did he need to make Doomsday? No. He should have just made like a metal suit like he does in the comic books. But I feel like did actually really good. If he wasn't crazy, I think it would have been boring. If he would have been like Wilson Fisk from Daredevil season 1, where he tried to go through the political channels and then he had to put on this fake smile in order to get people to like him, worked his way up the ranks, and then decided, oh, I'm going to get Superman now, that would have been the most boring movie on the planet. I wouldn't have liked to watch that movie. That's not a Lex Luthor I want to see. I want to see crazy Lex Luthor, the one that wants Superman dead. He wants him dead now. He's going to get kryptonite and he's going to take this guy down. Like I said, overall, I definitely like this movie. There were a lot of maybe neutral to grayish areas on this movie, but I definitely liked it. It's definitely going to be a guilty pleasure of mine, although I will admittedly say that I like this movie, going on record right now. I'm definitely going to buy it. I'm going to watch it until I know the lines by heart, even though it's going to be 2.5 hours worth of lines to learn. Hopefully with the director's cut about 3 hours. That'll be fun. Yeah. I loved all the action. I loved the adventure of these cities getting taken down. Batman beating the crap out of thugs, out of Superman. He almost got beaten the crap out of Doomsday, but he can take on anybody. Let's be truthful here. But definitely at the end of the day, Superman did save everybody by sacrificing himself in order to kill Doomsday, even though we all know that rising soil. It definitely changed up the Marvel cookie cutter format of these heroes fighting against these really boring villains. Lex Luthor was not boring. He actually seemed like he had a motivation. He actually was crazy. The only person in Marvel that we've ever liked as a villain has been Loki, and that's because he was crazy. He wanted the power. He wanted to take down every single one of the Avengers, and we loved it. What did Lex Luthor do? He went crazy. He wanted to take down the god of heroes, Superman. He wanted to put him against the other big superhero, Batman, make them fight each other to get rid of them. What's crazier than that? This guy had every motivation, just like Loki did. He just doesn't have alien influence, although apparently with the dark side Easter eggs, it kind of seems like there may be an alien influence, but I'm not sure how that's going to factor in yet. Another big thing that I definitely liked about this movie is that we kind of cut through the Batman story. They gave us just enough that we remember that, oh, his parents died. But that thing with the gun and the pearls, that was really cool. But I liked how they cut it down. We didn't have to see him becoming Batman. We've seen that story like 5 times now. We don't need to see it again. I liked how they just did the basic, this is how his parents died, and then they cut to Bruce Wayne as a man and being Batman fully fleshed out. We've seen this so many times that I'm frankly kind of tired of seeing it. There's only so many times we can see an origin story. Talking to you, Spider-Man. But I definitely can't wait to see Batman's whole world fleshed out. That's going to be amazing if they're going to incorporate Joker, Riddler. His whole world's going to be amazing if they give Ben Affleck his whole film set to do whatever he wants with Batman. So that's my review for Batman vs. Superman. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments below. And please, like always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.